Defense made a motion for a mistrial. Prosecutor was up to some fuckery. Potentially damaging evidence, no basis for it. The judge specifically said, do not ask that question. Do not use that as evidence. She walked right down the path and asked the question. It may be over on Tuesday morning. Batman Bruce Wayne bitch snitch. Gerald Brooks, your constitution does not apply to me because I'm a sovereign citizen, a traveler on the land. I'm the Moorish Empire or whatever, bitch snitch. Because they're so fucking absurd. If you want to be a sovereign citizen, just do yourself a favor first. Go to YouTube here and just get every sovereign citizen that's ever been before. Find me one that won. God dang, you're right. Don't go down this. It's not the path. Don't have time for stupidity. Some clever dick on the internet didn't find the great loophole in all of the world's law. Bitch snitch. God dang, you're right. God dang, you're right. Traveler on the land. Moorish Empire, traveler on the land, bitch snitch, Moorish Empire, God dang, you're right, traveler on the land, bitch snitch, the late evening U.S. people.
What do you got?
I think I can prove to a judge that both of these men had the mens rea.
What the hell is a mens rea?
It's a legal term the lawyers use. It just means the intention to commit a crime.
Okay, come on, let's go.
Mens rea?
Put the cuffs on him.
How could we have gotten mens rea? We take blood? Can you do it without taking blood? We both use condoms. How is this possible? I want to see a doctor. Can I have an independent blood test?
Money!
I feel sick.
What are you doing?
Mens rea! Oh! Oh! My God!
Into the mud, scum queen!
How dare you?
Hi. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, whoever you're doing it with, why you're doing it in the first place. You know what? I'm just glad that you're here doing it with me. And it's good to be back. I had my my day off yesterday. We had some things going on last night that went on until about 3:30 in the morning. Tired as hell. didn't get much sleep. Had a big stressful day at work, but I'm here because as much as I would just love to take another day off and just go to sleep at a normal human hour, no, you guys had to suffer without me yesterday. So I'm back. I'm here for you. And we're here for the end of day 5 and the beginning of day 6 of the LEILANI Simon trial. It's not getting any worse. I mean, it's not getting any better. It's just only getting worse for her. Let's see. The intro always makes you happier. I'm glad to hear that, silent PS. We've got a lot to get through here today, so we'll keep this as short as possible. I apologize for being just a couple minutes late. I was trying to watch as much of the first episode of Dune Prophecy as I could. Still holding out hope it's going to be a good show, but that's not what we're here to talk about today. So we got the like and subscribe poll ready to set up after we get started. We don't have it up yet, but do not let this dissuade you from hitting that like and subscribe button right now. So do so whilst I am speaking. We're gearing up. People will trickle in here as we get going. So make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. If you have already subscribed, just double check to make sure you still are subscribed. And really, that's just about it. The final thing to announce is that we are on day 61 of our emotional support potato pig dog streak. There we go. Boom, right there. Day 61. Will there be day 62? As always, it is entirely in your hands. Entirely up to you. That's where you all just decide if you want this to unleash the emotional support potato pig dogs who are sitting here, strawberries asleep. Yoda's giving me a little side eye, like, why are you looking at me? I'm trying to sleep over here. So we're locked and loaded and ready to go. If that happens, if we get to day 62, awesome. If not, cool. Right, that's it. That's literally all we got to talk about. Yeah, so let's bring it on up, and we'll start with the afternoon of day 5. We've got a little bit more to go. The officer on the stand is testifying to what time the cell phone turned on, what time it was plugged in, what time the flashlight went on, what time it was charged. He's the guy that's got to go through the data and go, all right, this is what happened. So you've got the device power off, the plug in, the device power plug. This poor guy, plugged in, unplugged. That's what he's testifying to. And not much more of him on direct, I believe. So, you can hear the dog snoring if you listen really carefully. All right, everybody, the super chats, as always, we'll read them up. If any come in, we'll pop them up on the screen. We'll read them in the various pauses in the court. There's also Zelle, Cash App, Venmo, things like that. And that's what you can do. All right, everybody, I'm done talking. Let's start. I'm not done talking yet because Chaos Coordinator has just done the OG super special move of dropping 10 Legal Vices gifted memberships. That's a foghorn. Woo! 10 Legal Vices memberships gifted by Chaos Coordinator. If you are one of those people, RJ Wright, unliked law student, that's kind of all of them, aren't we? Samantha Joe, Linda Moxon, Mrs. O, 0 F's left to give, M&M Tarantulas. What the hell is an M&M Tarantula? I like that. Kimberly Edkin, Kelly Smith, JD, and I think that's everybody. Gets a Legal Vices membership. As we not to be sidelined, not to be seconded, not to be left out of the conversation. Sonia Chris has just dropped 5 Legal Vices memberships for Colfie 2A, Mrs. Smith, the Monogamous Apostate, Jefferson C. Post, and Lavender Small Arms Company. Sweet, welcome everybody to the new members. We're banning the gray from chat. So we're almost to day 62 of the emotional support potato pig dogs, fresh out of the gate. So let's go. Let's hit this button and start. We're going to be watching this at 1.25 speed. Yep, 1.25 speed is on. And let's see where this takes us, shall we?
I believe so, but okay, I don't know.
Slide 40.
Slide 40 reads 1:47 a.m. to 2:01 a.m. Defendant's phone unlocked. Slide 40 shows a table showing when the device was unlocked at 1:47 a.m.
And does it show when the device locked again?
Yes. So the start time is 1:47 a.m. The end time is 2:01 a.m. So the phone was unlocked at 1:47. Oh, sorry, from the time period of 1:47 to 2:01.
So 14 minutes or so?
Yes.
What does it mean for an iPhone to be unlocked?
That just means either Face ID or PIN code is entered so that you're seeing the phone.
Okay, so it's like looks like this and not like that.
Correct.
Okay. Were you able to look at?
And just a quick pause to mention that initials EG. If you want to make yourself known here in public in chat, please do. EG, we know who you are, but has said, let's go doggos. Missed you yesterday, Jeff, with the 5 Venmos. Thank you so very, very much. We got the 5 Venmos out of that. Let's continue. Thank you very much, EG.
Data in the phone extraction in either one of them. So right
And
here.
Stringer Bell steps up to again announce that she's in fact EG. It's me, EG. Where are you at, Stringer? There you are. Stringer Bell once again announces she is EG. Thank you very much for that, by the way, Stringer.
And tell anything about what the user of this phone appeared likely to be doing with the phone at this period of time during this 14, 15 minute period?
Yes, there was some activity. I can't 100% say it was attributed to a user or just the device itself doing things, because these phones are on all the time and doing things, both unlocked and locked. But there was Facebook activity during this time frame. I don't have a slide to show that.
Does it appear at least likely to you that the user of this phone during the period of time in which it is unlocked was scrolling Facebook?
There was a lot of Facebook activity, which, based on my experience would be indicative of that. But I can't say for certain.
Okay. Slide 41.
Slide 41 reads 2:01 to 9:13 a.m. Defendant's phone locked. Again, a table showing the lock status of the device. This was obtained in the extraction from the device. It shows the device being locked on October 5th, 2022 at 2:01 a.m. And then it was locked until 9:13 a.m. that morning.
Slide 42.
Slide 42 are text messages from Daniel Youngkin to Michelle McCarta. The text message reads, "Hey, the kids are going to stay here with her today, Miss Michelle." And then he gets a response from Michelle that reads, "Okay." And that was at 5:20 a.m. and the response was at 5:29 a.m.
Now, per your review of the Life 360 data for him, can you tell us where his phone was during this period of time?
Yeah, during this period of time, his phone was at the residence.
And again, had his phone moved from the residence at any point during the night?
Not during the night of the 4th to the 5th.
Slide 43.
Slide 43 is a video of
Spooky. I cleared my throat at the exact same instant the witness cleared his throat. I'm scared. I'm scared, chat. All right. The reason I'm pausing here is no particular reason, just mentioning that we have the like and subscribe poll up now as promised. It's just something quick, simple. Again, it's only to remind you to do those YouTube-y things, to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and double check to make sure you still are. Simple poll, will we get to 100 days of doggos? Will we see the triple-digit doggo streak? We're now 39 away. So the answers are yes, no, sure, why not? And, of course, the ever-popular... the ever-popular option. The power of Christ compels you.
The power of Christ compels you.
So those are just your answers to our silly little poll. All right, people, that's it. Let's continue with our deal here. But before we do have the one comment from Island. Island member for 14 months woke up yesterday and had to roam the internet wilderness. Chaos. I'm not ready for that kind of decision making before breakfast. Glad you're back, Jeff. Well, Jeff is glad to be back. So I promise I won't leave you for another day or two. So let's slide on down the slide presentation road here in court.
GPS data, Life 360 GPS data for Daniel Youngkin. The slide reads 5:51 a.m. to 6:06 a.m. Daniel Youngkin, Life 360 travel to NFI warehouse. When you play the video, it'll show the Life 360 GPS points initially at the residence or at the area near the residence, and then you'll see him travel up to his workplace, and then during this time period up to his workplace.
Does the route that his phone took on this trip to work, does it go by Azalea Mobile Home Plaza?
It does not.
Matilda with the €2. Hello, my Vices mod. I said voice mod.
See the dots are moving.
Hello, Vices mod in chat from the Netherlands. Well, hello, Netherlands from Korea. Thank you very much, Matilda. Good to have your morning euros.
If you'll pause it here.
Is that good, or do you need?
Yeah, no, that's good. So what this is when Life 360, the data, when they send it back to you, it's basically got a start and end time. And so it shows you a window. And so what you'll see here is, this is the, sorry, can I stand up?
Sure, of course.
This is the end time of this. And you'll see in the video, I'm going to essentially expand this little time window all the way over here. And you'll see a second bullet that shows 141 session end, which basically means from this time period, so from 6:30 that morning until about 9:14:17, the Life 360 data shows the phone at the same location during that time period.
All right, I did play again, so let me have you over this time.
And I just highlighted that to show that that GPS point stays there during that time period.
All right. So this is just this portion of this screen capture video is just to illustrate that the phone is stationary.
Well, John Edwards,
for like
if you use
3 hours.
Live 360,
Correct.
don't go
Watch
committing
this.
crimes. They're
You don't have
watching.
to.
Slide 44.
Yes.
What is this here?
This is a Google Maps view of the routes from 535 Buckalter Road up to 101 Littlehurst Parkway, which is where Daniel Youngkin was working.
And what is the dark blue one there?
The dark blue on Google Maps is showing essentially the most expeditious route.
Ooh,
Does that appear to be the
expeditious.
route that he took?
Not the
for that
quickest
video?
route,
Yes.
folks.
Right.
The most
By
expeditious road.
Suggested route by Google Maps is what I should say.
I understand. The next slide, is this just sort of a zoom in on the very beginning portion of that route?
Yes, that's correct.
And again, the dark blue is the route that he appears to have taken for the GPS data, right?
That's correct.
Can you show us where Azalea Mobile Home Plaza is on here relative to the route that he took?
Yes. Do you want me to stand up?
Please.
So Azalea Mobile Home Plaza is up here, and the route is down over here.
Okay. Thank you. Now, what is the next slide here, slide 46?
This is again a prior slide that we've seen showing that the defendant's phone was locked from 2:01 a.m. on the 5th to 9:13 a.m. on the 5th.
And then what is slide 47?
Slide 47 is, I'll read it first. It's 9:14 a.m. defendant's phone called to Daniel Youngkin. It's a call log, export of a call log that shows an outgoing call from the defendant's phone to Daniel Youngkin at 9:14:29 a.m. And where it shows 21 minutes and 37 seconds, that was the duration of the call. It says it was answered and just has some other information.
And that calls it 9:14, lasted for 21 minutes. What is slide 48?
Slide 48 is a video, again, of Daniel Youngkin's Life 360 GPS data that I mapped in the tool that I was using for the time period 9:22 to 9:34. In the video, you'll see the GPS points again up near his workplace, and then essentially travel the same route back down to the residence.
Let me know. I'm going to play this now. Let me know if you want me to pause it at any point.
Okay.
Does he appear to have taken the same route home that he took to get to work?
Yes, he did. And if you'll pause it there.
Oh, sorry. Is that good, or you want me to advance a little bit?
Well, at the end of the video, I essentially expand that entire timeline to show all of the points. So it kind of shows you the route.
All right. I have just started again from the beginning.
Okay.
Not intentionally, really. It's just.
Sure.
Tell me if you want me to pause it at any point. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so if you'll pause it there. As you can see, it shows, according to the Life 360 data, the GPS locations traveling back down.
I didn't see anything. Perhaps if you could make the map smaller, it would help.
What are you doing here in the video?
I was just trying to orient on the location of where the first point's showing.
Okay.
And then I kind of just followed the route down, clicking on the different points to get a time frame of reference where it shows what time those points were.
All right. The first one was at 9:22. Right. That's when this, as far as the GPS is concerned, this trip is showing.
Correct.
Did I see that right? That the first point appears to be like some distance from his work.
Yes.
Okay. So if he says that he got this call at 9:14 and left more or less immediately, would that be consistent with this first GPS point showing the movement hitting at 9:22, some distance away from his work down the road?
Yeah, it appears based on the Life 360 data at that point, he had already left his workplace.
All right, was it en route home?
Correct.
Slide 49.
Okay, slide 49, the heading reads 9:39 a.m. defendant's phone 911 call. Again, this is an export from the call log showing an outgoing call to 911 at 9:39 a.m. on October 5th. The duration is 4 minutes and 1 second and shows his answer.
And what is slide 50?
So slide 50, it reads unknown time, defendant's phone, unsent text message. So on the defendant's phone, we found an unsent text message The text message read "getting some Orajel." However, we couldn't conclusively determine when that text message was drafted.
You can see unsent text messages in these phone extractions.
Sometimes, yes.
Okay. And this one is from the defendant's phone to
To-
Kenny,
yep.
not ever sent, but drafted.
That's correct.
And it says getting some Orajel.
That's correct.
Your Honor, unfortunately, there are a couple of other areas that I need to cover with this witness, but I wonder if anybody wants a break at this point.
No, we just
I mean, I'm happy to press forward, but I figured we just finished a long thing.
we just came back from lunch,
So,
bro. Not too long ago.
Yeah.
It's only 4:05. I hope I'm not out yet.
Y'all need a short break? Okay, let's do that.
All right.
The time is 4:05. 10 minutes doesn't quite give y'all enough time, does it? Okay, well, 4:05, let's recess to 4:10. I'll just remind you of the instructions. Thank you.
Jury's exiting.
All right, jury. Catch you on the flip side of the turlet break. Orville Redenbacher's uncomfortable with the discussion of comfort breaks. All right.
See what you did. The dumpster.
There we go. Jury's back in.
Everyone was able to observe the court's instructions?
Everyone was able to relieve themselves.
We have heard some testimony about a camera fastened to a mobile home at Azalea Mobile Home Plaza, like directly across from the dumpsters that was appeared to be pointing right at them. And some testimony that the Chatham County Police Department at least was not able to pull any footage from the relevant time frame from that camera. Were you involved in any effort to see what you could pull, what if anything could be pulled from that camera?
Yes, I was.
Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. So.
How'd you get? What did you get? How did you get it?
So yeah, I received the camera from Chatham County after they were unable to recover anything during the relevant time period. I then created an image of that and provided a copy to some of our technical folks up at Quantico. And then later that camera and the SD card that was in the camera was then transported to Quantico in an attempt to obtain additional information that is relevant to the time period.
To any particular unit at Quantico?
Yes, but I don't recall what the unit name was.
Does DFAU sound familiar?
Yes, it does.
Do you know what that stands for?
I do not.
Okay. And what was the result of all those efforts?
There were videos recovered from the device. They were all reviewed. However, it was determined that those weren't videos that were relevant to the time period. They were actually earlier than the time period we were looking for.
Like how much earlier?
Months, I believe.
Okay. Did it appear to you from all this that that camera just like wasn't operational anymore during the relevant time?
That's correct.
Okay. I'd like to ask you some questions about evidence transport and lab requests to the lab at Quantico. Okay.
Sure.
We've heard some testimony from Special Agent Rajabi that she collected a DNA sample from Henry Bubba Moss Jr. and submitted it to the Savannah FBI office for safekeeping. Were you involved in asking for any lab testing pertaining to this swab from the people at Quantico? Yes,
I was. I submitted the lab request for DNA comparison of that DNA sample.
And what was the first lab request that involved that DNA sample?
I have a copy of the lab request that I would like to refer to if I could.
Yeah, do you need to refresh your memory?
Yes, please.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay.
So was there one in October?
That was a quick refresh.
Yes, October 28th.
Can you tell us what that particular lab request was for at that time and what was sent out there at that time?
Yes, it was a request for DNA comparison for the DNA sample taken from Henry Bubba Moss Jr. To a bone that was collected in the landfill that at the time was believed to be human.
Okay. And we've heard testimony from the forensic anthropologist, Dr. Christensen, that when she looked at that first bone that was sent up towards the end of October, she determined that it was, in fact, not human.
That's correct.
Is that the bone that she's talking about?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And is that what she told you at the time in reference to that bone?
Yes, it was.
And going forward from that, did you guys keep looking?
Yes, we did.
Okay. How did Henry Bubba Moss Jr.'s DNA sample go up to Quantico at that time?
So it was transported by one of our agents in our office, Special Agent Brian Giovannini. Originally, I was supposed to be the one to transport that. However, he was going up to Quantico for another matter, and it was transported by him instead.
How did he accomplish that?
So the item was collected from our evidence room, packaged in a box, and then transported physically by Special Agent Giovannini to the lab.
And was it taken along with the Henry Bubba Moss Jr.'s DNA sample?
Yes, the DNA sample was taken up there, as well as the bone that was determined not to be human.
Okay, so at that point, Henry Bubba Moss Jr.'s DNA sample was up there.
That's correct.
Okay. Now, later, did you guys find some actual human remains in the landfill?
We did.
All right. And what was the date of that?
November 18th, 2022.
Were you at the landfill search operation initially at the time that human remains first began to be discovered there?
The first, at first, no, but as soon as we had heard that possible human remains were found, we went over to the landfill, so I went over there.
And did you get eyes on what had been found at that point?
Yes, I did.
And were you involved in any way in the packaging and transport of those
Yes, I was.
remains? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so the bones were packaged in 4 separate paper bags and then transported by myself from the landfill to our office in Savannah. The bones were then later transported to Quantico, to the lab. All 4 bags were placed in a box, and then that was transported up to Quantico.
Okay. At some point before sending them, we've heard Dr. Christensen talk about first getting some pictures and then shortly thereafter getting the actual remains themselves. Do you know what she's referring to there?
Yes. So prior to us sending the remains up to the lab, we were asked to take photos and send those to the lab prior to the transport.
Is that pretty typical for them to ask for like a photographic preview?
Yes.
And is that something that had happened with that first bone in October that turned out not to be human?
Yes, it did.
Okay. The actual bone itself is preceded by photographs being
That's
made
correct.
available to you. Okay. Who specifically was involved in the transport of the remains discovered on the 18th from the FBI office in Savannah to the Quantico lab, to your knowledge?
To my knowledge, it was Special Agent Solomon, so Savannah Solomon, another special agent who was a pilot with us. His name is escaping me this time.
That's fine. But just because your involvement was the transport from the landfill to.
How weird is it that it's like agents of
Prior to
like Savannah in
correct.
Savannah?
I'd like to, do you have on the witness stand in front of you what's
How can one of the
been introduced?
one of
into
the people's
evidence
names
since
actually be
2
Savannah?
78?
I do.
Can you look through that?
Sure. Okay.
Now, this has been identified by Dr. Christensen as 4 separate images of the contents of the bags that you received in the box that was sent up from Savannah, Georgia. I mean, not Savannah.
Sure.
Sometime after the discovery of human remains on November 18th. Do you recognize what's depicted in these images?
I do.
Is that the contents of the 4 bags that you were involved in the initial transport and packaging of?
Yes.
One moment, please, Your Honor.
Okay. Is this going to be one moment, please? No further questions, or one moment, please? Here's a bunch more stuff we have to look at. What's it going to be, people?
During this
Nick
investigation,
Starro.
were you in constant contact with Detective Lemons and the rest of the Chatham County Police Department side of the investigative team?
Yes, I was.
Nick Starro, 1980s. Clark Kent became a lawyer. Well, that's what Megan Fox seems to think. And for those of you that know, Megan Fox spent the first couple of days of this trial simping pretty hard, drawing things like this. And me, I'm just saying he looks like Jamie from Yellowstone. But well, thank you very much for being a supporter for 12 months, Nick.
We've heard testimony from Detective Lemons and from Detective Cox that they obtained search warrant or phone records for a variety of phone numbers via search warrants. At least in one case, in exigent circumstances, requested a carrier. Were all of those records made available to you?
Yes, they were.
And were they incorporated into your FBI case file?
Yes, they were.
And you've already testified, I think, about receiving the Life 360 records from Detective Cox.
Yes, that's correct.
For both the defendant's phone number and Daniel Youngkin's phone number.
That's correct.
Did you incorporate those records into your case file?
Yes, we did.
Now, did you forward the phone records that you had gotten, all of them, and the Life 360 records that you talked about to any other FBI personnel for analysis?
Yes, I did.
And Jamie from Yellowstone was a lawyer, so it makes sense.
Yes. When we received them, I also gave them to Special Agent Rob Corley. He is one of our CAS folks, which stands for Cellular Analysis Survey Team, who deal with cell phone data.
Okay. No further questions, Your Honor.
Nick Starr says, "Where are my clients?"
A couple hundred questions.
Very close. Very close, Nick. Thank you so much.
Taylor Burns, correct?
That's correct.
I don't want to.
No worries.
I don't want to get it inverted. So, Mr. Burns, with regard to Daniel Youngkin's phone extraction, you're not saying that everything you've included in your presentation was everything you extracted, are you?
No, no.
Okay, so there was, and I'm just going to specifically mention some things. I mean, State's Exhibit 87 has a number of text messages and stuff that both the defense and the state have already introduced, but you didn't reference them. But were they part of your extraction as well?
They were.
Okay, so that's my first question. My next question is, and I don't, to be quite frank with you, I did not understand the bouncing blue dot. So
Sure.
I'm going to ask you, I understood the 204 and I understood the Azalea part, but the one for Danny Youngkin's route to work and from work, I really didn't. So if you could just in regular old English, tell me what was the route he took from 535 Buckhalter to Port Wentworth in regular old plain English for me?
I don't know every road that he took without looking at a map.
That's fine. You have it in front of you.
Yeah,
Your
you mind?
presentation. Yeah, I have
Okay,
no problem.
sure.
I'm just saying I don't understand.
No, you're fine. Give me 1 second, please.
So I assume it starts at 535 Buckhalter.
It does.
All right, so it
and
goes down. What's the first road he goes down?
I believe it was Garrard Avenue. Obviously, I have a very zoomed out picture
That's fine.
of that.
That's fine.
So I think it was Garrard Avenue to Veterans, based on this, up. What's this? I think that's up 516 into 21, up 21 over to where the workplace is.
Okay, so just so I can get it straight in my head.
Sure.
Goes right down Garrard Avenue, over to Chatham Parkway, to Veterans Parkway, to 516, correct?
I believe that's correct, yes. Without seeing the dots themselves.
Well,
Yes.
that's fine. And then to 21, and then up to, I guess, Port Wentworth.
Correct.
21. And I assume it's the same or similar route back.
Similar route back, yes.
And that's the only questions I have for you.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay.
Well, okay. That was completely
No, you're on.
pointless.
And Special Agent, thank you. You may step down.
I believe we're done for the day. Are we? Yes, we are. All right, everybody. That is the end of day 5 of the LEILANI Simon trial. Now we're going to bring up the morning of day 6 so that we can start with that. Again, there are 9 days of this trial, 9 full days. And then the verdict. So we're over the halfway mark now. Let me just kind of get this ready here so I can bring up day 6 whilst Strawberry chews on a bone. And we are here. And that's it. Oh, it's embiggen. There we go. Readjust those whatchamacallums. Closed captions, and we're ready to go. But I guess as long as we're paused here, what are we at? Too early for a grift. Let's go.
I gave you my instructions not to discuss the case. Don't do any research about the case. Don't talk to anyone about the case. Don't let anyone talk to you about the case. Do not read, watch, listen to, or otherwise observe or consume any media reports about the case. Was everyone
We are
able to do
extraordinarily
that?
close,
Follow the
chaos
instructions.
coordinator.
Is there anyone who could not? And if so, would you raise your hand?
Extraordinarily close.
Okay, let the record reflect that it appears that everyone has been able to follow the court's directions. And we'll turn now to the state.
State called Robert Cooley.
Please allow me to fiddle with some papers here. Sonny A. Chris has gifted 1 Legal Vices membership, and that Legal Vices membership went to whom? It went to Not That Susan. Hey, Not That Susan, how you doing? All right, that brings that brings us to, ladies and gentlemen, day 61 at an end. It is no longer day 61 of the Emotional Support Potato Pig Dog Cam. We have just now officially, with this 1 Legal Vices gifted membership from Sonny A. Chris, have unlocked for the 62nd day in a row the Emotional Support Potato Pig Dogs. Nick Staro's clients, they're here. They shall be represented. His clients shall make an appearance today. It is that time where we get to issue that command for the 62nd day in a row. And here we are with Yoda the Hound. Yoda snoozing away. Strawberry over there munching on a bone. Strawberry doing the munching thing. Yoda doing the snoring thing. We'll allow Yoda to continue to snore in peace there. You can get the camera a little more snore vision. There's snore vision. All right. Thank you so much, people, for unleashing day 62 of the Emotional Support Potato Pig Dog Cam. And with that, let's get back to more testifying. You guys are awesome. The support is always, always deeply, deeply appreciated. Thank you so much.
Raise your right hand. The evidence presented to the court and jury of the trial decision should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So, yes, sir. Is that this way?
Harrison A says, I'm new here. Is she guilty? Well, in real life, the verdict has been handed down, but I haven't watched the verdict, so I don't know. But yeah, she's guilty as F. If for some reason she was found not guilty, I will just turn off my computer. You'll never hear from me again. I will turn in my law license and I will give up on the practice of law in the United States. That's how guilty she is. It's not good. And for those of you that haven't actually seen this and don't know what she's charged with 19 separate crimes involving the second-degree murder of her 20-month-old son, whom she chucked into a dumpster, explaining to the police that what she actually threw in the dumpster was some stinky shrimp pasta. Threw him in a dumpster. The dumpster was picked up hours later by a garbage truck. He was smashed in the back. He was compressed in the back of the garbage truck, taken to a landfill and dumped into the landfill, where his body was driven over for a few days by a gigantic earth mover with spiky tires. Yeah, she's guilty as fuck. And every witness is making it worse for her, except for the one that said that she summoned the ghost of the dead baby with a candle and a Bible, and the baby told her that she did it. Except for that witness. The witnesses have been pretty damning. Island with the $5. My brain gets desperate for levity with these kinds of trials. Someone sent me a clip of a hairless cat. Cat's name, Nudicrous. You're welcome. One of my good friends in law school had an Italian, like a hairless Italian greyhound. She named it Rogaine. So there you go.
All right, good morning.
Morning,
Who is this fine gentleman?
Good morning. Could you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Yes, my name is Special Agent Robert Corley.
What was that? Can you introduce yourself to the jury? What was it? What was that head shaking stuff? Robert Corley. Wow. What was that old video game that the Corley Motors? It was a motorcycle game. You played like a biker, and your Corley Motors was going to shut down the manufacturing of motorcycles, and you had to solve what was going on at Corley Motors so that you could preserve the motorcycle ride forever. And Mark Hamill did the voice of Corley. Full Throttle, that was the name of the game. If any of you ever played Full Throttle, that was a fun game. All right, sorry. Just kind of got there.
I'm with the FBI Jacksonville Division.
And can you tell us just briefly about your education before joining the FBI?
Yes, I have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice and a master's degree in criminal justice.
And how long have you been with the FBI?
Since May 2011, so I'm 13 years.
Are you a full-fledged special agent, or are you in some sort of support role, or what? What's your role?
No, I'm a special agent assigned to national security investigations.
Now, you are here because you analyzed some phone records for some of the people involved in this case to see whether you could determine where they had been on the night of October 4th into the morning of October 5th, and whether their phones had made any significant movements. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Now, what is the methodology that you used to do that?
We define it as cellular analysis. We basically look at cellular records provided by cell phone companies. We match those records with cell tower lists, which are also provided by the telephone companies. And then we use relevant dates and times provided by investigators to create a report and analyze the location of a device.
Now, did you do this in your capacity as a member of CAST?
Yes, I did.
What is FBI's CAST?
So CAST is short for Cellular Analysis Survey Team, and it is a team of approximately 80 agents and task force officers spread throughout the United States. CAST performs three primary functions. We provide training on cellular analysis to state, federal, and local law enforcement partners. We also use the methodology and the techniques we're going to talk about today to track and locate people in real time. So we'll often be asked to help locate fugitives, help locate missing children, and unfortunately, a lot of times locate the missing bodies or remains of victims.
Now, can you tell us about the training part?
Sorry. And the third primary function is to do what I'm doing today, to testify as an expert witness in trials.
Can you tell us about CAST training that you got that allows you to do this sort of analysis?
Sure. So CAST training starts with a basic course, which is just an introduction to cellular records that all agents, state, local, and federal law enforcement can participate. Once that class is completed, you can be invited to what's called an advanced course, which is reserved for FBI special agents and FBI task force officers only. After advanced course, you go on to what's called field training certification, where you spend 3 days looking at prior investigations or cases. You're put in like a command post situation where they give you a time limit to solve a case and see if you can come up with the same solution that the original case agents did. And if you progress through those and you meet all the minimum requirements,
of course, they're feds. They always frame
CAST certification is a 4-week course. It consists of 1 week of training in RF theory, radio frequency theory. That's taught by PhD professors from the Florida Institute of Technology in Melbourne, Florida. After that, we have a week of training and interaction with the cellular providers. In my case, it was AT&T, Sprint, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Sprint, merged with T-Mobile, so now people no longer receive that training, but at the time I did from Sprint. And they bring in the people that produce these records that we're going to talk about. So when law enforcement submits a search warrant or a court order, they will provide these records. They talk about how they pull them, what all the columns mean. And then we also talk with the engineers that actually work on the towers and the networks in the field. After that, we receive some training in mapping, different types of software that we use. We also receive training in something we call drive testing, where we take equipment out and we do measurements of the actual footprint of a cell tower. So we can not only say what we
why don't you go teach the Canton police how to do that?
Tower footprint would be, we can, in some cases, actually map out the actual footprint of a cell tower.
And have you completed all of those steps that you just described?
Yes, sir.
And do you hold the CAST certification?
Yes, sir, since 2019.
All right, so since 2019, you've been full-fledged member of the CAST team?
Yes, I received the training, and we receive an annual recertification, which is 24 hours of training every year, generally consisting of those same things. We bring the carriers back in. They provide any updates to any of their records. And then we also receive training from other companies like Google, Apple, companies that provide other location-based services.
So aside from the training to do this type of analysis, since 2019, have you gotten experience actually employing this in cases?
Yes, I actually use this in my own cases. That's how most people become a CAST agent. You start using some of this technology in your own investigations. So I use it not only to help other agents or investigators with their cases, but I also use it daily, weekly, monthly in my own investigations.
And have you testified about it in court before today?
I have.
About how many times?
19 times.
And have you been accepted by courts as an expert witness before?
Yes, all 19 times.
Your Honor, at this time, I would offer Special Agent Corley as an expert in the area of cellular analysis. Objection.
The witness is accepted as an expert.
All right, more
Now,
exciting
in this
cell
case,
phone
we
analysis
received,
coming at you,
a
people.
request, or perhaps a series of requests from the Savannah FBI office to conduct this sort of analysis with respect to some cellular records that they had obtained.
Yes, sir, I did.
And did you receive cell phone records from Taylor Burns of the Savannah office?
That's correct.
Did these records include a set of phone records for a number identified to you as that of the defendant, LEILANI Simon?
Yes.
Did they include phone records for a number identified to you as that of her boyfriend at the time?
Yes.
Did they include cell phone records for a number identified to you as that of a brother of hers that was living in the same house during the relevant time frame?
Yes.
And did they include cell phone records for a person identified to you as the father of the missing child?
Yes.
All right. Once you had these records, what did you do with them in short?
So once I receive the records, first I do a check to make sure they're original records received from the phone companies. Nothing is out of the ordinary. And then I take the records and match them with a cell tower list. The records will provide you, in this case, we specifically use timing advance records. They provide you with the tower used, the sector of that tower used, and then the distance from that tower. So we're able to provide general location of where a device is located. So I use those records and then produce some maps and a report showing where the phone was located during that time.
You mentioned you produced the maps. Have you for today prepared a presentation detailing your findings?
Yes, sir.
And do you believe that presentation will aid the jury in their understanding of your testimony?
Yes, very much.
Do you see in front of you a document marked as State's Exhibit 64?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell us what that is?
This is my report.
Your Honor, at this time I would offer State's Exhibit 64. No.
The FBI report's coming on in, people.
And I'd ask to publish it to the jury. Your Honor.
Well, the main reason they can't use just one person is because other people do other parts of the job. The guy that downloads it has got to say, I'm the one that downloaded. You got to have this chain of custody. The one that said, I took it from this person and gave it to that person has to testify. The person that analyzes the call data and the on-off stuff, they've got to say that that's what they did. This guy's got to say this is where it was. So they all have their different parts, and they all have to testify to what they did. You can't testify to what somebody else did.
All right. We're on page 1 of 12 here. Can you describe?
Describe what? Care to finish the sentence there, counselor?
All right. Can you describe the contents of this first page here? What are we seeing here?
It's just a title slide with the 4 phone numbers that are included in the report and the date that the last edit was made onto the report.
Okay. So the top number, that would be the defendant's, right?
Correct, 5275.
That 910 number, the second from the top, would be that of her boyfriend.
Correct.
And the one below that, another 912 number, would be that of her brother, right?
That's correct.
Where you going,
The last
Yoda?
one would be that of the child's
Where you
father.
going?
Correct.
Moving on to slide 2, can you tell us what we're seeing here?
Yeah, this is just an introduction that describes that methodology that I just spoke to you about. We take cellular records, tower list, and then the relevant date and times that are provided to us by investigators and produce a report using those data sets.
All right, moving on to slide 3.
Yoda wants scratches.
What are we looking at here?
So this is just a general picture of what a cell tower looks like. We've all seen them around. The most common one is going to be the one in the far right corner for me, the one that's labeled
They
a
should
monopole
all
tower.
be like the cactus.
That's the most common one, but they can also be a cell tower can be on the side of buildings. You would probably see that in the Savannah area. And then also based on certain statutes or regulations in certain cities or municipalities, they have to be hidden, but this is generally what cell towers look like.
I'm sorry. I don't care where it is. I don't care if it's in Alaska or Hawaii. All cell towers should be shaped like the saguaro cactus there. That's just what I think.
Moving on to slide 4.
And so when you see that cell tower that's actually on the pole, a lot of people think of the pole or the apparatus as the tower, but the tower is actually the boxes that are on top of the poles. And in most instances, about 85% of all cell towers in the United States are configured in a 3-sector pattern. They could be configured in others, but by far the majority are 3 sectors. In this presentation, all of them are 3-sector towers.
Prepare to be
what
bored out
happens
of your
is
damn
companies
mind.
divide up the towers in those 3 sectors to service each side of an area. And they're generally divided in, you can think of a 360 degrees covers the full circle, and each sector is divided up into about 120 of that. So if you think of it as pie slices.
Grubber
like
is waiting for Yoda to leave so he can
each sector
bogart
serves
his-
that general area.
So this diagram is, we're above a cell tower looking down on it.
Correct.
And these little gray boxes here are the antenna arrays.
Correct.
We were seeing in the last picture.
Yes, sir. That would represent the actual towers, what's transmitting that RF frequency or receiving that RF frequency.
Okay. So each tower, 3 sectors, about 120 degrees each.
Yes, and in the records, the tower list that I referenced earlier, it will tell you the azimuth of that sector. So the azimuth is the direction that the center of that sector points at. So in this orientation, one sector has an azimuth of 0, which is true north. Sector 2 has an azimuth of 120, and Sector 3 has an azimuth of 240. Once you know those, you know.
Now I know it's important to watch all of the witnesses to make sure we get all of the information. But unless any of you have like a ridiculously huge objection to skipping through this how cell towers work stuff, I'm gonna skip through it here. There. Let's skip to whatever's happening right here.
My original analysis, they provided some other phones
I was just
Okay.
going to ask you about your review of Taylor Burns' screen capture videos of his GPS plotting. Okay. Did you review a screen capture video of Taylor Burns' GPS plotting from the defendant's phone in Life 360 records, showing that phone making a movement first to a Circle K and then later to a location identified as her drug dealer's house?
Yes, in my original analysis, they provided some other phones and another location, and the phone was consistent with moving towards that area.
Okay. And after reviewing that screen capture video produced by Taylor Burns, can you tell us whether your analysis of that movement as reflected in her phone records and Life 360 records aligns with the product that Taylor put together?
So the Life 360 GPS coordinates are going to be more specific, but the timing advance lined up with the same pattern of movement as the Life 360 records.
Okay. Did you also look at a screen capture video of GPS plotting that Special Agent Burns did showing a movement by the defendant's phone to the Azalea Mobile Home Plaza, remaining there stationary for a short period of time, then returning to 535 Buckhalter Road?
Yes.
Did your analysis of her timing advance data for her phone number for that period line up with Special Agent Burns' GPS plotting of that movement?
Yes, the timing advance data was consistent with that same movement.
Did you review a screen capture video that Special Agent Burns produced pertaining to the boyfriend's cell phones or the boyfriend's Life 360 records, showing in the early morning hours a movement away from the phone, from the home to his workplace, him remaining there for a few hours, and then returning back to the home? Did you see that video?
I did.
And did your timing advance analysis for the defendant's phone record, for the boyfriend's phone records during that time period line up with what Special Agent Burns had produced in the way of GPS mapping for that time period?
Yes, it did.
Okay. One moment, please.
Looks like that's about all the questions they're going to have for him. Don't imagine what the cross-examinations are going to be.
No further questions, Rob.
Yep, called it.
Thank you.
Ask a dumb question, dude. Make your presence known.
Special Agent Corley, you said you've been in the FBI for 13 years?
Yes, sir.
And I assume, and I'm not just trying to figure it out.
Not trying to put words in your
Before
mouth.
the FBI, or were you in school?
No, I was a captain in the United States Air Force.
Okay, and how long were you captain in the Air Force for?
9 years. Well, I'm sorry, I was a captain for 5. I was a lieutenant for 4.
Thank you for your service, Special Agent. All right, let's go back to your illustration, if I could, just to see if I can make sense of what it's saying and what we're trying to say with it. Is the sectors kind of give you a wide, broad swath in which a phone is pinging off of that tower, right?
Ping to me means a different thing, but yes, it's a general directional. RF frequency doesn't stop at a line on the ground, so it's more of an ambiguous like shape, but it is a general representation of that tower's coverage.
Right, and all I'm trying to get at is when I say pinging, I mean it's the phone is interacting with the tower in that sector.
Yeah, words mean things,
Yes,
counselor.
there's a date and timestamp of an event that produces that record.
Pinging does not mean
All
interacting.
that record really produces
means
is
pinging.
that there's been interaction with that sector of that tower with that phone, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so and that's all I'm trying to get at. So with regard to the boyfriend's phone, it says here that there were 22 events, it looks like, off of the tower near, this is off page 9 of your report. There were 22 events off the tower near the
Porcelain Thunder, that's who she's been reminding me of for all this time. I couldn't figure out who she reminded me of. She reminds me of Chief Wiggum. That's who it was. I've been like Hedgehog. She looks like a hedgehog. She looks like Chief Wiggum. Oh my God, that's who I've been trying to think of for the last couple of weeks. Thank you very much.
the Sky Zone trampoline.
You
park
are correct.
Between the hours of 10:32 and 5:48, correct?
Yes, sir.
Oh, that's
Okay.
what I've been trying to think
And the analysis and the data that you got, does it tell you what those events were, or does it just tell you that there were 22 events?
So these were all timing advanced data. So there were network interactions. So there was nothing that the phone was doing. There was no calls, no text messages, nothing like that aligned with this timing advanced data. These were all network measurements.
So it's just saying that this tower and this phone are interacting 22 events in this time frame.
Correct.
Okay. And the next question I have is, and then it has one event from the other tower closer to Hunter during the same, I guess at 10:57.
That's correct, yes, sir.
Okay. And that event, was that a timing advance event, or was that a phone call, or what was it?
These are all timing advance events.
Okay, so it didn't register the phone call, correct?
This does not require any user interaction with the phone.
Right. And so this time frame is pinging off of, I guess, an adjacent tower, correct?
It is pinging off a neighboring tower, yes, sir.
All right. And the other tower to the top right of that has the 23 events, let's say.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Don't know, just asking. Would that tower encompass the other events, or are these separate events?
These are all separate events.
Okay, so the total events that you looked at for this time frame would be 23 events from the one tower, 22 events from the Sky Zone tower, and 1 event from the Hunter Army Airfield tower.
Correct.
Okay. So, and that, again, it's just timing advance events. It doesn't require anything from the phone or any interaction. This is just the phone and the towers talking, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, my question is it looks like and I'm horrible with math, so correct me if I'm wrong.
Lawyer math.
There's a total of 46 events in this time frame for this particular phone, right?
Yes, sir.
And it's all just the towers interacting with the phones, correct?
Correct.
So is it normal to have the towers switch like that?
What does that have to do with math, you
So
idiot?
it's nothing indicative of anything other
Where's
than
the
it's just
math
switching
in that
between the
question?
towers.
Yeah, so if you were making a phone call or using a text message or using your phone for a data session, the phone is selecting which tower it's going to use. And in most cases, it's going, well, not in most cases, in all cases, it's going to select the tower with the cleanest, the best signal. Most of the time, that's the closest tower, but not always. But in these events, these are just network measurements. So the measurements often, they don't even have to be a usable cell phone signal. They're just measuring the distance of the devices, taking and saying, well, what's this phone look like when it's at this distance from this tower? And then they aggregate that data to do whatever engineering they need to do with it. So it doesn't matter what the phone's doing, and it doesn't follow the same rules as we wouldn't say if we didn't have the distance from the companies that tell us how far it is, this would be not usable, because then it would just be like, well, it's bouncing off a bunch of different towers. How do we know where it's at? But because we have the distance, we can use it, even though it is using multiple different towers.
And that's kind of what I'm getting to is let's assume the phone's stationary and hasn't moved.
Mm-hmm.
The analysis that you're doing, it's these phones and these towers are doing their own thing, determining which tower to use and which signal to use and how to bounce back and forth with little or no interaction from the user, correct?
That could be correct, yes, sir.
Right. Not always correct, but in this particular case, that's correct. Right?
Be, yeah.
Okay. All right. And that being said, the analysis doesn't ever actually say who is in possession or carrying or using the phone either.
No,
Yeah.
I can't tell you that. No,
right. And you have to look at other things to know that, correct?
well, I mean, I would say there's probably never an instance where I can say 100% that person had a phone unless I was sitting next to them and watching them use the phone. So it could be picked up by somebody else. But yeah, I can't determine who was using the phone.
Okay. Cool. That's all the questions I got. Thank you, Mr. Ford.
Thanks.
Is there any reason to hold this witness?
No, you're right.
Okay, you are excused.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, that was very helpful from both sides. He basically just confirmed that the other guy's GPS coordinates were accurate, and that she was where the other dude said she was.
Special Agent Snyder.
Special Agent D. Snyder coming up next. All right, we've gone silent. Where's Snyder?
Good morning.
Morning. Could you please introduce yourself?
If there has ever been a man who looks like a Fed, than this guy. I have yet to see them. This is the feddiest looking Fed that ever fedded. This guy literally glows. I mean, he's just a glowing.
To the jury.
My name is Brad Snyder. I'm a special agent with the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
And how do you spell Snyder?
Snider.
How long have you been an FBI
Spell
special
Brad.
Approximately 18 years.
Can you just briefly tell us about your education before joining the FBI?
Sure. So I attended college at Appalachian State University. After college, I joined the Marine Corps as a Marine Corps officer, spent approximately 8 years on active duty in the United States Marine Corps, and then joined the FBI after leading active duty.
Can you tell us a little bit about your FBI career leading up to this case?
Sure. So I currently serve as the coordinator for the FBI's Southeast Georgia Violent Crimes Task Force. Prior to that, I've been here in the Savannah office for about 15 years. Worked both violent crime cases, violent crimes against children cases, national security cases here in Savannah, as well as throughout the country and abroad.
Now, on October 5th, day one of this investigation, did you become involved in investigating the disappearance of Quentin Simon?
I did.
Can you tell us a little bit about how you initially became involved? You know, the phone call or the conversation or whatever it was that brought you into this?
Sure. On our task force, we have a intelligence analyst with the Savannah Area Regional Intelligence Center. On that October 5th morning, we got an email from that analyst advising us of a potential kidnapping, abduction within the county. So upon receiving that email, I reached out to Detective Lemons with the Chatham County Police Department just to offer the services of the FBI. At that point in time, they really didn't have a clear picture as to what they had. So approximately an hour later, Detective Lemons called back and said, you know, this is...
Objection, Your Honor, here's that.
It's office to the effect on the listener, Your Honor. How did you become involved? I got a phone call. That's admissible.
Not what she said. She can testify about the effect and tell what she said.
You may want to rephrase your question, Mr. Dean.
After getting this phone call from
Defense lawyer's right. That was an improper question. But come on. Was that really worth the objection?
Lemons and getting kind of the big picture of what was going on, did you respond to the Chatham County Police
Objection,
Department
hearsay.
headquarters?
We did.
All right. And when you got there, what was going on?
Detective Lemons was starting the initial triage of interviews, gathering the individuals that were at the residence at the police department.
And on that day, you participated in a series of interviews with the defendant, LEILANI Simon?
I did.
And you were paired up with Detective Lemons for that, right?
I was, yes, sir.
There were some other federal, local interview pairs that day as well, correct?
That's correct.
All right. We've seen a lot of this interview footage from October 5th, but I'd like to ask you a few questions about it. I'm not going to play it all back. At this time, had you received any particular training in interviews, interrogations prior to this day?
At this time, an 18-year career, I've done a lot of interviews. You know, the FBI, like many law enforcement organizations, has numerous techniques, sophisticated techniques that we rely on throughout the course of investigation. But I would say the technique that moves the needle the most is interviews. And this particular investigation, you know, we've done a lot of interviews, and really we have to let the interviews tell the story in this investigation. Now,
I'd like to ask you a couple questions about the defendant's demeanor during these October 5th interviews. Her demeanor, her tone, her volume, okay? Was her demeanor, tone, and volume, was it consistent throughout these interviews, or did it change from one thing to another at various points, or what?
Section, Your Honor, calls for opinion.
Senator, the witness personally observed her demeanor, tone, and volume. This is not a matter of opinion. It's a matter of personal observation.
Can you state the question?
Did her demeanor, tone, and volume, was it consistent throughout these October 5th interviews, or did it change at times?
How about that?
Her demeanor was inconsistent, erratic. The responses I would characterize as shallow emotional responses, and that on a dime, there would be crying with no tears. And then moments later, without really any transition, it would go to a normal conversation.
Now, what would
and don't forget the laughter.
What sort of lies would cause the crying with no tears and the increase in volume and rapidity of speech and things like that? When would that happen?
Anytime the pattern of questioning, pressed her on a particular issue she was uncomfortable with, that's when the defendant would become erratic and behave in that manner.
Now, I'd like to ask you just a couple questions about her story on day one on October 5th. Did you all talk to her about a trip that she had made away from the house sometime shortly after 1 a.m.?
We did.
And what was her story at that time as to what she was doing there?
At that particular time, it was to pay a front for Danny, her boyfriend at the time.
I'm asking you about the trip after 1 a.m., not the earlier one in the night. What was your story as to the trip after 1 a.m.?
After 1 a.m., that was to go see an individual by the name of Melissa Bray to get Oragel. She had just recently had her wisdom tooth pulled the day prior, and her story was she departed the residence at 1 a.m. to go get Oragel from Melissa Bray.
What was she calling Melissa Bray at that time on day one?
That was Misty, as she referred to Melissa Bray. Misty.
And initially, you were telling me about a story that she was given for a different trip, right? That was the one after 10:30, 11 o'clock or so?
That's right.
Okay. I'd like to ask you just a couple questions about the days immediately following October 5th, okay? Did a local team kind of coalesce and come together to investigate this matter?
We did.
And can you describe the composition of the local team? Like who was involved in this thing?
Sure. So the Chatham County Police Department had two primary investigators, Detective Lemons and Detective Noble. They were supported by a cadre of additional investigative supervisors. Our FBI team consisted of myself, Special Agent Solomon, Special Agent Burns, and we were also supported by a cadre of FBI agents from Augusta, from Brunswick, and then at that point in time, once we had our local investigative teams together, we started reaching out to other resources that both the FBI and Chatham County had at their disposal.
Can you describe some of this outreach to other units and resources that come to mind?
Sure. So the FBI has a team referred to as the CARD team, or the Child Abduction Rapid Deployment Team. So once we realized the situation at hand, we immediately sought the assistance of our Child Abduction Rapid Deployment Team. We contacted our Behavior Analysis Unit at FBI headquarters in Quantico, commonly referred to as FBI profilers. They provided a substantial amount of subject matter expertise. We also contacted FBI CAST, the Cellular Analysis Survey Team. They were able to take a very detailed look at the telephones associated with this investigation. We also reached out to our CART team, Computer Analysis Response Team, and they were able to do a lot of work with a particular infotainment system within the vehicle driven by the defendant.
What about the DFAU? Y'all use them for anything?
We did Digital Forensics Analysis Unit. They did a lot of video, audio enhancement, specifically video enhancement, and then audio enhancement as it relates to some of the interviews to clarify various points where the audio wasn't as clear as we wanted it to be.
Do you think of any resources y'all didn't use in this case?
Truly, no. In this investigation, we utilized resources in a very finite amount of time. Really, what spanned probably 8 days. And normally, the investigative techniques we employed in 8 days is something that we would use across a 6-month to a year-long investigation. Just to give merit to the monumental effort, that both the FBI and the Chatham County Police Department undertook in very short order.
And mind you, that's the same monumental effort that the defense lawyer criticized one of the officers on scene about during, I believe he was the first witness. Well, you certainly had a lot of police officers hanging around there, didn't you? You certainly had a lot of people. Like, didn't anybody else have anything better to do? Well, you even had a PR person over there. Yeah, so I think that's an interesting point where he's talking about the monumental effort they're doing to recover this child on the heels of defense lawyers saying there was just too many people involved. But while we're here, let's do our midstream grift. It is 1 hour and 10 minutes into this little production here. We got about 50 minutes left. And we've currently got 229 concurrent viewers, 180 likes. So get down there and smush that like button. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. And if you have, or believe you have, or remember having done so in the past, please double check to make sure you're still subscribed. And the dumb like and subscribe poll today, which has a whole 205 votes. Like, subscribe, and vote. Will we get to 100 days of doggos? Will we unleash the emotional support potato pig dog cam triple digits in a row? Well, 41% of you say yes. 1% of you say no. I'm going to hold you to that, people. 1% of you say no. 25% of you say sure, why not? And 32%, a whole 32%, nearly 1 in 3 of you have said that of course we will. Why? Because the power of Christ compels you.
The power of Christ compels you.
That's our midstream grift. Thank you very much. There's nothing else to read here. We've cleared off everything. We've mentioned the like and subscribe poll, and we are going to jump right back into it. Let's go, Officer Glowy, Special Agent
All
Glowy.
in
Sorry.
service of finding Quentin and identifying the person responsible.
Yes, sir.
Now, the plan and priorities over the first couple of days after these October 5th interviews of all these three people, did that include some follow up on Henry Bubba Moss Jr.?
It did, yes, sir.
And who had point on that? What office or people?
Because at the time, Henry Moss Jr. was living in Burke County. Burke County falls under our Augusta resident agency for the FBI. So our Augusta office took lead in interviewing with Henry Moss.
Did it include some follow up on Daniel Youngkin and his behavior and so forth that morning?
Yes, sir, it did.
All right. Who had point for that?
That was Detective Noble, I believe, as well as Special Agent Solomon.
And what was it that they did at his workplace?
When they arrived at the workplace, they sought the assistance of Danny Youngkin's boss, an individual by the first name of David, I believe. They obtained video of Danny actually departing work frantically. They could observe on the video Danny departed his place of employment in such a hasty fashion that he forgot his jacket, he forgot to clock out, and ended up encountering his supervisor as he was running to the vehicle. His supervisor described Danny hysterical and crying.
He's already answered the question. He's just giving a narrative outline and testimony at this point of other witnesses. So I'd say
That's fine. I agree. All right. Let me just ask you this question about the efforts at Danny's workplace. Okay. Why was it his workplace is not the same, right?
That's correct.
Why was it important to you all to go out to his work and figure out what he looked like and acted like there?
It was a process to corroborate the story that Danny had provided at the time. It gave us the opportunity to see the immediate reaction of Danny once he received that phone call from the defendant. So that was one of the main reasons, was to corroborate the story and get that immediate reaction, something that without that video, we wouldn't be able to have observed.
Now, during this investigation, did you have kind of ongoing interactions with Danny Youngkin?
I did.
Did you get a sense in interacting with him for his level of sophistication, intelligence, and so forth?
I did.
With that background, do you believe that he would be?
objection, Your Honor, calls for speculation.
I do not believe it does, Your Honor.
I didn't hear the question.
Okay. Do you believe that he would be capable of acting or thinking to act in a particular way?
I'm going to sustain that.
Okay. Let me ask you about the
A
October
little bit of speculation.
8th interview. Okay, we've heard testimony about an interview on October 8th at the FBI office in Savannah with an interviewer from Quantico named Bridget Rock. Okay, were you present for that interview?
I wasn't present for the interview, but I observed the interview in a remote location within the office.
Okay, you're watching it on like a live feed or something like that?
That's correct.
Okay. And let me ask you this about, because I don't know that I've asked anybody else this. The location in which that interview was conducted, is that in Chatham County?
It is. It's at the FBI office off Chatham Parkway here in Savannah.
Okay. And the October 5 interviews at Chatham County Police Headquarters, were those in Chatham County as well?
That's correct, yes, sir.
Okay. Is it fair to say that in the lead up to this October 8th interview with Bridget Brock, that the two most significant investigative findings were your interview with
leading question.
prior to that October 8th interview? Had you interviewed Melissa Bray?
I had.
Can you tell me first about the process of locating her in the first place?
We first learned of Melissa Bray through an interview of the defendant. The defendant provided us information that she previously worked with Melissa Bray at a restaurant located off of Highway 17 in Chatham Parkway here in Savannah. And I went to the restaurant, approached Miss Bray during working hours, and asked Miss Bray if she had some time after she was off work for the day to speak with me. She advised that she did. She would be more than happy to speak with the FBI. Arrived at a residence at approximately 3:30 in the afternoon of October the 6th.
And what were you asking? What were you looking for from her?
The main thing we were trying to see from Miss Melissa Bray was whether or not she had any recent interaction with the defendant.
And what did she tell you?
Ms. Bray provided that she hadn't had any recent interaction. However, she provided text messages and that the last time she had contact face to face with the defendant was July the 5th. She received a text message or a phone call. Actually, I believe it was a text message from the defendant. The defendant said she had run out of gas. He had a gas can. Miss Melissa Bray, as well as her husband, supported the defendant in getting that gas. And then after that, there were a series of text messages on July 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and I believe the 13th, where Miss Bray was trying to get the gas can back from the defendant. I observed the text messages myself. There was never a response. The gas can was not returned. So really, from July the 5th, there had been no contact whatsoever, according to Miss Bray, between Mrs. Bray and the defendant.
Now, in your view, did the text messages that you looked at corroborate what Melissa Bray was telling you about the last time she had seen the
Objection, Your Honor, comes back to opinion again.
Did the text messages corroborate what Melissa Bray was telling you?
I will allow that question.
Second your objection, then bolstering, Judge. Witness has not been attacked.
I'm going to allow the question.
Did the text messages corroborate what she was telling you?
Absolutely, 100%.
Now, so that was done before the October 8th interview with Bridget Brock.
That's correct, yes, sir.
And prior to that October 8th interview with Bridget Brock, had the investigative team obtained some important video footage?
We had.
And just broadly tell us what that was.
That was CCTV footage obtained from the Azalea Gardens trailer park.
And in this October 8th interview with Bridget Brock, did the defendant stick to the Misty story?
Absolutely.
Now, moving forward from this, that night, the night of the 8th, this is when the hotel monitoring operation was conducted, right?
That's correct.
Now, were you involved in setting that up, or at least discussing it with Daniel Youngkin?
I was.
And when had that discussion taken place?
On October the 7th.
Okay. Can you describe, approaching Danny and bringing this up, and who else might have been there for this conversation?
That was an interview conversation that we had with Danny Youngkin with Agent Savannah Solomon on October the 7th at our office. We disclosed to Mr. Youngkin, to Danny at the time, the facts that we had learned at that point in the investigation. We disclosed to Mr. Youngkin the...
Objection, Your Honor. It's a narrative from the witness again. I don't think that's a question that Mr. Dean asked him.
I asked him to describe the circumstances of approaching Mr. Youngkin about this operation, proposing this operation. And that's a totally responsive answer.
It's a narrative, Judge. I mean, he has a direct question. He needs to ask a direct question, not an open-ended one to allow the witness to say whatever he wants.
I don't think in this case it was. I'm going to overrule the objection.
You can continue.
So again, we were able to disclose to Mr. Youngkin the facts of the investigation that we had obtained at that point. And two of those important facts at that point were the surveillance footage that we obtained from Azalea trailer park, as well as the interview that I had conducted the previous day of Ms. Melissa Bray, in which she had no recollection whatsoever of having any interaction with the defendant regarding the Origel story.
And did you ask him if he would agree to this filming and audio monitoring in the hotel room?
We did.
How did he react to that?
He was on board 100%. Whatever he needed to do, he was glad to do it.
Did he?
I wonder if Leilani at this point is going, God, a stupid Origel story. Why did I have to go with this stupid Origel story? Look at all the fuss this stupid Origel story has caused. God, I'm an idiot. I wonder if she's thinking anything along those lines. I'm pretty sick and tired of hearing about Origel. She must just be like, oh God, some more of Leilani's greatest mistakes.
Seem nervous? Did he stutter? Anything like that?
No, sir.
Objection, Your Honor. Calls for opinion again.
It's based on what his observations were. I'm going to allow it.
Okay. The answer to that question was no.
That's correct.
Let me ask you about October 12th. So this would be 4 days after the October 8th interview with Bridget Brock, right?
Yes.
In which he insisted that the Origel story was true, right?
Correct.
Now, this October 12th interview, where was it conducted?
That interview was also conducted at our FBI office here in Savannah off Chatham Parkway.
In Chatham County?
Correct.
And who was involved in this interview?
That was myself and Special Agent Solomon, also with the FBI.
What type of room did it take place in?
A large conference room, approximately half the size of this room that we're in today.
And was it recorded?
It was.
audio and video.
That's correct, yes, sir.
In this interview, did the defendant's story change?
Yes, sir, it did.
And how did it change? And what parts of it changed, I guess?
Really, three main points came out of this interview. The first change was the admission of significant drug use on the night of the 4th and the morning of the 5th. The interaction with Miss Melissa Bray in the Orgel story, that was a significant change. Where over the course of the interview, she disclosed, agreed that actually did not happen. And then we obtained significant information as it relates to her purpose in the trailer park that night and throwing away trash.
What did she say about, I mean, we're going to watch it, but kind of overview, what did she say about throwing away trash in the trailer park?
Initially, the whole purpose of going to the SA trailer park was to get the Orgel from Miss Melissa Bray. But once we confronted her that I myself had interviewed Miss Melissa Bray and Melissa Bray was not able to corroborate that story, she told us that she also had trash in the back of the vehicle that was placed in there the night prior, or the day prior, approximately 4:30 on the 4th. And the trash, being that Miss Melissa Bray was not there, the trash was smelling up the car. So at 1 o'clock in the morning, 1:15 in the morning, when she drove by Miss Melissa Bray's house, she wasn't there. She took that opportunity to throw the trash that was in the back of the Dodge Journey into the dumpsters at
the trash, which happened to be the body of her 20-month-old son that she described as stinky shrimp pasta. Ugh.
trailer park.
Now, prior to this, on October 5th, had you all discussed with her this Azalea trip?
We had.
And had y'all discussed it with her at length on October 5th, what exactly she was doing there?
Multiple times, yes, sir.
And on October 8th, did Bridget Brock discuss this Azalea trip with her?
She did.
And was that also at length?
Yes, sir.
Now, on either of those days, October 5th and October 8th, had she said anything about throwing trash away at Azalea on that trip?
Never.
So as of October 12th, is it fair to say that this was new information for the defendant?
It was.
Did she talk to you about how much the trash weighed? Well, let me ask you this. First of all, what did she identify the trash as being specifically, to the extent you remember?
I hate hearing
She
that.
identified it as being shrimp pasta. That was a meal that they had thrown away from a day or two prior.
Was she able to give you details on the estimated weight of the trash and the specific physical mechanics of throwing it away?
She was.
What did she say about those two things? The weight and how she did it?
When we were questioning her about that, this was towards the end of the interview. We asked how she threw the trash away. She described getting out of the vehicle on the driver's side, walking along the driver's side to the rear of the vehicle, opening the back hatch of the Dodge Journey, and then pulling the single trash bag out. She was asked how she pulled that bag out. Verbally, she said, I pulled it out with one hand, but as she was demonstrating, how she pulled the bag out, she demonstrated using two hands to throw the trash bag into the dumpster.
Oops.
She also described before
Oops.
she went to throw the bag in the dumpster, she opened the bag and described smelling the bag before she threw the bag into the dumpster.
Why would you do that?
Was she able to tell you if this really was just a bag of old food, why she would have felt the need to look inside the bag one last time?
Yeah.
And throw it away? We
asked her that multiple times in the interview, describing is it normal for a person to, knowing that the vehicle was had an odor to it, is it normal for a person to smell the trash before they throw it in the dumpster? And
If you're Joe
didn't have an
Biden, I guess.
explanation for that, other than she was just smelling the trash before she threw it away.
Where's your Messiah now?
At some point in this interview, did she say anything about taking responsibility?
She did.
Yeah.
What do you remember her saying about
That was weird.
We'll see it in the interview, but I can't recall verbatim, but it was something to the effect of, if I did this, I'll take responsibility.
Yeah, that was
verbatim,
an
I can't recall
exceptionally
exactly
odd
what
thing
she
to
said.
say.
Yeah, sure.
The jury has indicated that they need a break. I figured they would need one at about 10:30 because they've been going at it now for about an hour. So I'm going to ask you to stop at this point. I'm going to let's take a 15-minute break. We'll come back with this witness, cross with this witness, and then I anticipate probably breaking for lunch after that.
It's about time. I've been waiting for somebody else to say it.
Okay. All right, 15-minute break.
He's still too shy to say I have
We'll
to
be
pee.
back at 10:45.
Jury's exiting.
All right, looks like we're back.
22-0336-4J6. We're now back on the record.
When does
Before we
lunch
bring the
start?
jurors out, Mr. Hilliard, you said there's something you want to bring up.
Yeah, I'm just waiting on this side.
No, we're not going to be able to make it to the lunch break. We'll make it as far as we can. Maybe we will. I don't know. Let's find out. Bring on in them jurors.
He, as well as Detective Lemons, and I believe it was Agent Schneider, if I'm not mistaken, had interviewed and spoken with Craig Weston and Tim Weston, and they were going to add them to the witness list and supplement the witness list.
That's where the jury sits there in the bottom right corner.
This afternoon. So, one, I would object to that under 17-16-6. And again, it may be somewhere, but I have not seen, at least in the last two witness lists, either Craig or Tim Weston listed as witnesses. It may have been an early one, and I missed it, number one. So I'll acknowledge that, but I don't think I did. I did go back and look, and I haven't seen them listed as witnesses heretofore until now. So we object on that. It's not being timely disclosed. Second,
what's up, all the way from
I would
Germany?
like to at least
How
give
you
an opportunity to
doing?
interview those witnesses. So on the one hand, I moved to exclude it under 17-16-6 as not being properly disclosed 10 days prior to trial. We're on the 9th day of the jury selection trial at this point. So obviously, I don't think it fits in the 17-16-6, number one. So we moved to exclude both of those witnesses. Number two, if the court does not so exclude those witnesses, then I at least would like to have an opportunity to speak with those witnesses prior to them being called, given the statements that I'm being told are proper that were made.
All right, thank you. Mr. Dean?
Your Honor,
Ms.
I'm going to
Ms.
respond
Parker?
on behalf of the state. Your Honor, excluding these witnesses is.
Ms. Parker, yeah, just
Can you hear me? Okay. Your Honor, excluding these witnesses is not the proper remedy here, especially when there is no unfair surprise. These witnesses, while not on the witness list, were included in materials that were provided to the defense. They have been referenced during the trial, even referenced by Mr. Hilliard. He was aware that these people existed. They're not somebody that we've just pulled out of thin air. The circumstances of the trial have caused us to change our mind about calling them. There is evidence that's now ruled admissible that includes text messages related to the Westons, and so we've decided we want to include them in our case.
Now, I'm not saying anything negative about her looks here, commenting, but I'm just curious because being a male, I have questions for you females. Is it just me, or has her hair been like crimp ironed to the point of just being brittle? It just looks like her hair is burnt and about ready to snap off if she twists her head too quickly. That's a crimp job. She does a crimp
The
walk.
defense could have talked to these people at any time. They were aware of them, and whether they want to have an opportunity to talk to them, that's fine. It's of course up to the witnesses where they're willing to talk to them or not. That's not
good.
really
It's not
our
just me.
choice or something the court can order them to do. That's up to them. But we would like to call them this afternoon.
Go ahead, Mr. Hilliard.
I didn't know the state's position, but now that I know it, I can state a little bit further. 17-16-6, Judge. By the way, we did opt into discovery in this case. The discovery statute was invoked, which means that 17-16-6 comes into play. 17-16-6 states specifically that any time during the course of the proceedings that is brought to the attention of the court, the state has failed to comply with the requirements of this article, which in this case would be disclosure of witnesses 10 days prior to trial once discovery has been opted into. The court may order the state to permit the discovery or inspection, interview of the witness, grant a continuance, or upon showing of prejudice and bad faith, prohibit the state from introducing the evidence not disclosed or presenting the witnesses not disclosed, or may enter such other order as it deems just under the circumstances. At any time during the course of the proceedings, it is brought to the attention of the court that defendants fail to comply, those same remedies can be brought against us. I'm not the one positing or seeking to add two new witnesses.
I got to say, I'm kind of with the defense counsel on this one. Their witnesses weren't on the witness list. They were in the, but they're saying, but they were in the information they were given. We just changed our mind and want to call them now. Just because they're on your witness list doesn't mean you have to call them. But the fact they weren't even on the witness list, I think kind kind of lends a little bit of weight to what the defense lawyer is arguing here as to why these other two witnesses shouldn't be allowed to testify. So far, he's persuading me.
In the middle of the trial. The one thing that is explicitly absent from this is me looking through and seeing that this was in evidence. My understanding is the court's ruling was that those text messages were admissible. That doesn't mean because the state changes its mind 24 hours later, they get to go back and then start adding witnesses. If we do that, the trials would never get finished. So I do believe it's prejudice. Giving me two witnesses and their statements at 9 o'clock on a Sunday night is definitely prejudicial when you're going to call them less than 12 hours later or 24 hours later. Number one. And number two, it's bad faith at this point. If they had thought they were going to call them as a witness, they had 2 years to put them on the witness list, which they admitted they didn't do. So the proper remedy under that is to exclude the witnesses.
Yep, that's what I'm saying. The defense lawyer, he's been very persuasive.
Ruling dealt with, from my understanding. So again, we object. I understand the court has to make its decision and will abide by that decision, but I don't think that they've complied with the discovery statute. I don't think that just because they've changed their mind over the weekend, their failure to comply with the discovery statute makes it permissible. So I think the witnesses should be excluded.
Thank you, Mr. Hilliard. Ms. Parker, anything else?
Like I said, I think he's got the good argument there. If there's any possibility, they should have been on the list. He didn't put them on the list as potential witnesses. So got to say I'm with the defense lawyer on this one. Outside of jury's presence, OJP.
Witnesses were.
Ms. Parker.
Your Honor, I just wanted to point out that these particular witnesses were interviewed by law enforcement back when this case was investigated. That was provided to the defense. They're aware of these witnesses. So there's a whole long line of cases about.
No, they were aware the people existed. They were aware that their names showed up in documents. They weren't aware of them as being potential witnesses. Why? Because they weren't listed on the witness list.
Unfair surprise. There is no unfair surprise here or prejudice to the defendants because the defense has been aware of these people all along. We can pull some of those cases for the court, but I mean, there's 50 years worth of case law on unfair surprise.
What the court is going to do is this. Mr. Hilliard may have an opportunity to interview those witnesses, and of course, that's if the witnesses wish to be, but he'll certainly have an opportunity to do that. I'm not going to exclude the witnesses. He'll have an opportunity to speak with them.
I understand, Judge. That's why I said I need to at least speak to them.
I understand.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Is there anything further we?
There's the court being, King Solomon, being a wise judge. I'm not going to exclude them, but I'm also going to give the defense lawyer a chance to talk to them before they're on the witness stand. So sort of a mini deposition, if you will, I guess. So that's a fair result. One that they both counsel agree with. They're not going to be excluded. Just the defense gets a chance to talk to them first. Fair enough.
Need to take up for proceeding.
The only thing I might mention to the court is that the next thing we're going to do is introduce this October 12th interview video. It's extremely long in its unredacted form. I've trimmed some stuff and redacted some stuff, and we end up with a final exhibit. Final product is like an hour and 13 minutes long. We're fine to proceed, but I wanted to just make the court aware of that before we do that. I don't know whether the court wants to do it now or ask the jury what the jury wants to do or what.
My inclination is to go ahead and do this before lunch. And then after you complete your direct, Mr. Hilliard, you could either do your cross before we break, or you could save your cross for after the lunch break.
To avoid a rebellion, Judge, I will most likely do it after the lunch.
The court would not rebel, but yours may not be happy. Right. All right. Bring in the jurors, please.
All right. We're not going to get through that whole thing. We'll get through probably about half of it. So we'll watch half of the video today and half of the video tomorrow.
Jurors interim.
And just while the jury's coming in, I will make the announcement now that next Thursday is Thanksgiving, U.S. Thanksgiving, and I will be at a Thanksgiving dinner here for some expats, from some U.S. expats. So next Thursday, a week from this Thursday, there will be no show again. So, but we might do a makeup on the weekend.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please have a seat. We're back from your break. I trust you're able to observe the instructions. Okay, thank you. And so we're going to resume now with the state's evidence at this portion. I will tell you this. The court anticipated breaking for lunch after this witness. During this, there's going to be a video, however, that's about an hour and 15 minutes long. Can y'all wait till after all this to get to lunch?
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
Okay. I thought that would be the response, and that was my hope that would be your response. So we're going to proceed now.
Yes, Johnny Somali is not invited.
Yeah, up there with you is Marshall State's Exhibit 70.
I do.
Can you tell us what that is?
It's a recorded interview from October the 12th, interview at the FBI office here in Savannah, Georgia.
Now, is that the entirety of the original recording of that interview?
It is not.
Can you tell us what has been cut off from the front end and where we're going to pick up?
We're going to pick up approximately 30 minutes plus or minus into the interview. There's a significant amount of rapport building, nothing really substantive to the case that takes place in the first portion of the interview that's cut out and that's redacted.
Does the recording on this disc fairly and accurately depict the portions of the interview that we included here?
It does, absolutely.
And other than trimming some material off the front and back end and redacting some inadmissible information, has it been altered or modified in any way?
It is not.
Your Honor, I would introduce this as State's Exhibit 70.
Subject to the redactions we've already discussed. No.
Now, when we open this thing and start playing it, first of all, what are we going to see initially?
This is the conference room, a large conference room in the Savannah office of the FBI. You'll see myself on the right side of your screen, the defendant seated at a small circular table in the middle, and then Special Agent Sullivan on the left side of your screen.
I'm going to take the time to get it up here because it does seem like some people have been watching on this screen as opposed to the other one.
All right, we'll.
Based off a conversation that the defendant and I had.
Oh, wait a minute.
And what are we going to hear you say at the outset here?
At the outset is an apology, to the defendant, based off a conversation that the defendant and I had following an October the 8th interview. That interview taking place also at the office, FBI office in Savannah.
Just briefly, what were you apologizing for? Just, so we know what is going on here.
Sure. After the interview was complete, I went and wanted to impress upon the defendant the gravity of this case. It was really a one-way conversation. I explained to the defendant that the entire weight of the FBI and the Chatham County Police Department were going to ensure that justice was served in this case, that we were going to find Quentin and bring anyone responsible for that to justice.
And that was on October 8th after the interview with Bridget Brock.
Absolutely.
With that preview, I'll go ahead and publish this by playing it for the jury. I want to tell you, I might stop it from time to time and ask you kind of what was that question and what did she say? Because the audio is, I think it's passable, but it's not outstanding. Fair to say?
That's correct. Yes, sir.
All right.
So I just wanted to apologize. I think you of all people know how stressful this entire situation is. And we've been working 20-hour days, doing the best that we absolutely can.
And here is where we learn that the FBI's interview recording equipment is barely better than the local cop shop. So even the FBI can't get good damn video in there and audio in their interrogation videos. Come on, feds, do better than the local cop shop. But all right, let's hear the FBI interrogation of her.
I hope you understand that. And the stress that's involved in that. It's on everybody. It is. And yesterday or 2 days ago, probably should have just walked away and let my emotions get the best of me. And I want you to understand that I apologize for that. It's not lost on me. They really, you don't have another adult, male figure that you can, So I'm sure you feel like I sort of abandoned you. Just what you feel, when we had that conversation. And we talked to your mom just 2 days ago. And your mom tells us that it was just a day or so ago that As your stepfather, he was able to give you a hug.
That's the first thing that she was to take care of. When I needed that, in that moment, it was like a little bit colder.
So I'm sorry, but there's some things, we'll talk about this. So what's going on at the house right now? Are you staying with your mom right now?
Yeah, at the moment, and so we can get into the housing for the ministry. Because they're going to get somewhere. They don't know how to do. I'll give you all the address and everything. But I'm trying to do that so we can do the case.
Who all staying at the house right now?
I know my brother's going to be there for until anything possibly longer. Paul was there. Everybody is originally living there. But with the addition of my brother, that you said babysit the kids before, I got back real life. She took care of those baby.
Jim, I'll tell you, we found that in bed. Yes. She was like, oh, there's nobody here. I was just, gotta check for safety. And she opened the door,
she was like, came downstairs, and I'm just like, she's like, okay, we got my phone. I was like,
we're working on getting that back before she goes.
She's like, I was like,
Now with everybody there, so if any additional searches that y'all done on your own, anything?
we found there's one day that we got a psychic. And I said something about a container of books.
So what your mom sent me, she's kind of ordered more than anything she's got.
Yeah, when that happened, Mom, I said, went to the garage, even though we knew y'all searched it, we still went to look up every container we could. We searched and looked. And I was just like, no, Mom.
What's the blonde magazine we can ask the daughter? A little bit.
She
is, and she was ready to,
she searched everything. She should escort everything. Like, okay, I'll be a long time. I want to get there. I'm like,
these two are very similar.
She's something else. She'll go to you or look over the first.
Yeah. But she's been ready to search they searched the canal, they searched the land, she was to go with them anywhere that.
Yeah, we've been trying not to check on anything that possibly they've been.
Yeah.
So honestly, I still like you too for walk around. When you do see something,
that's everything. Call us.
Take a picture of it, call them, send it to some location. Don't touch it. Whatever it is. Yeah, I don't want to walk into the woods or anything like that because there's sense and cover up something that could be there.
Yeah. Well, that was one of the things the dogs were doing today. Since it went back to, I told you last time I talked to you directly when, we went back, Tuesday, I don't remember the days of the week right now, Monday, because like I said, we couldn't see a lot in the dark, and the dogs guess work the same way, and the dogs don't live here, so they had to do that on its own, but,
And kind of engineering with everything that we want to do to make sure that we do absolutely everything we can, and we get it all right. We don't want to miss anything. And I know that's important to you. Right?
Yes.
So with that, I mean, just kind of, not willing to put words, in your mouth, but being the time and space that's passed since we last talked, maybe, there's a chance that you were calling things, differently or something new that, it just didn't come up before. That go ahead and ask.
Yeah, we've been getting it to the online every day.
well, and so last week, Wednesday was the biggest shock, right? And you're trying to get everything in order what you think happened. But sometimes when you get a chance to breathe a little, it's, I don't know, I said this to someone this week, but you're driving home, you're like, how I dare, because you're on this autopilot, and then you really think like, oh, there was a yellow car. And now you have time to get further down the road. And so if you remember something differently right now, it's not because you were wrong then. It's because, okay, I have time to just kind of let it settle and see things more clearly when, the shock of it all has had a chance to kind of come down. So we're not going to come down if anything's different, because there's a lot to be said for some time and space to kind of, things that you didn't think about before because they weren't the big thing, or,
So that was a little just picture there. They're asking me that too, like, can you feel it? Can you tell me for this? I keep going through my experience. The only thing that makes sense, the only thing that completely hasn't baffled is the door to that. The entrance of that, that is the only thing that can actually roll back the thing.
And be honest, we're double checking, beyond just that data that Joe had, to see like, what does this really mean? Yeah. So we're again, running through the carpet on every single thing.
So with that in mind, let's just kind of go through, a few things. So let's just start with the Circle K. And tell me about the phone call that you made. I guess it was a Tuesday night or Wednesday night.
It was a quick phone call. I can't honestly remember if it was on my phone or his phone. It was on my phone. I called him. I said, "Boy, they're not having
James is supposed to
and stuff. That's why I got Misty right now. They were doing mosquitoes. There was 3 tubes. They were doing next 2 words. And one had something in it. And one had something in it. I guess look for him out there. And so, okay, like, normally they have it. Normally they did not have it out there. I guess they took us home the next day or whatever. I used to work there late on Saturdays. Once a month, Thursdays, Fridays. And then I went back out, going home. I stood outside, I just went and stared. Nobody else, I didn't know what to do. I didn't go home. There's out there, a stair chair there. I did. And I went down.
Because when we look at the phone records, you know, that our investigators look at, there's not a call from your phone to the Circle K. So you just kind of help me understand that. Do you think another phone was used?
It's possible that it was Danny's phone.
So you didn't use Danny's phone?
It's possible because he has his phone there all the time. I have really bad signal inside the house. I just rather than I kind of wish I had this flip phone thing. I don't like get signal in the house. I get signal now. I'm trying to throughout the whole house.
Okay. And the 911 telephone call, that thing, when you put a statement together, you did a phenomenal job providing just a tremendous amount of detail. It's been helpful for us throughout this entire process.
And I was speaking of them, can't find the doors, so I'm pretty much screwed in that phone.
Within that statement, you mentioned, or you should be put it in writing, that you made a 911 call.
Yes.
But there's a male voice on the call.
Yeah, he tried to call his phone first, and for some reason it wasn't working. So then we called my phone, and after he started to speak up first, but everybody was speaking to me, was voice calm, and that's when y'all heard chiming. And so that he didn't work together. Yeah, we were together, like this, and he was very calm, I was like, no, keep on the baby, and that's when I feel like we started speaking, and y'all nothing about it. So.
And that was an absolutely chaotic time. You wake up out of your bed and somebody's out there. Let's just go back to that point. I know that's super stressful.
Now she's dissing her boyfriend again, Danny, for being too calm during the 911 call. He was being too calm, so I was yelling, "Find my baby!" Yeah, because FBI, because 911 operators, you know, they really like it when people are screaming hysterically in the phone. It helps them do their job. Come on, Leilani.
Let's just go back to that point when you had that. What was the first thing that you did?
So everybody was like, oh, just start searching for like, what do you think it is? So they found out about it. And one day they can't, you never know what just happens. And they're like, oh, crap, you know. So I searched the house closets too, because they have this thing about playing inside closets. And the way the doors open, they're not shuts, like you can push it over and pull it. Those were some of the first business I had. And then outside, and stuff. I don't really know the pool. If you're a family, my picture is Interrogation. I think you've done it for us too. Yeah, that was the second time. Yeah, the very first time we had done it. You know, so I mean, this is what you know at the end of the day. I go to every night. I researched everything. I don't know. I got up and I looked at his thinking that blanket was important. You know, how, and then the blanket was notes outside of it. So there was a good pillow right there. You know, this towel was still there. I can't find this stuffed animal anywhere. And the nanny was just looking at that. I was like, Michelle, she came over a couple weeks ago and had a bunch of choice mothers. So said that her so bad, so and that's what I put in. He was his monkey one was there, and that was in the thing. Yeah, no, it was in the toy basket that was on the outside of it. You know, so I told him that was sorry.
I highly doubt she's separated in jail. She's Gen Pop material.
It was a new toy, so it was his favorite. Yeah, it was just new toys. You know, that was his big one.
So to kind of go back to that, because Paul and Michelle, they tell an entire different story. And that entire different story. Paul and Michelle tell an entirely different story. So let's just kind of go back through that. Because I want you to understand that what you tell us, what you remember, is absolutely just as important as what Paul and Michelle remember. So let's just walk back through that, okay? And a lot of times, the best way to do that is doing what we call reverse order. So we start with a 911 call, and then go what happened just before that, and then what happened just before that, all the way back to the time that you got out of bed.
Yeah,
let's try that.
I probably should. See, I don't know. And after that, Michelle was already on her way.
So it's, you know, not.
Yeah, there's short, I had my shoulder already on the leg because I was trying to figure out for some reason. And this is weird, like we paid for a week. We paid for a week, but I was not even on the good. So that was on me. You know, I called Betty, I called her, I called her home. She came over and helped me. So this didn't. So she was there for a while. You know, her car was. So how would you get there? Yeah, her car was trapped in front of the house. I never before. I was searching for help. Speaking, you know,
So let's talk about that, right? You know, so 911, and before that, it was called to
Michelle.
Michelle.
Michelle to see for some reason she had.
Okay. And then before,
Before that is Dan. I was searching the house and all this stuff. You know, we even outside, inside, portable lines we searched, whatever, and then when I couldn't find it, it's like we just stood there for 3 days, but no one wanted there. You know, so before that was just, yeah, I slept the whole time. And I didn't want to put my judges Sunday. I was on purpose. I did. It was very good. Yeah, I did. And that's part of what I did do. When I was like, if you're a friend, I just don't talk about
you know, right there, I was just stopping.
yeah, I did do it.
Just so we're all clear on what you said, was that her disclosing a new fact that you hadn't heard before?
That's correct.
What was that new fact?
At this point in the interview, she disclosed that the purpose of the trip to 204 was to get a perk 30, a Percocet 30.
Yeah, did she say whether she had taken it that night?
She did.
And her words here were, I was on drugs, right?
Correct.
Right. And I'll pick that up. That was paused at 14:46:05 on the timestamp in the top right.
And remember, of course, this all started because she said she didn't do anything. Then she smoked marijuana. And by the end of the night, she was smoking marijuana, doing coke and Percocet. So story changed a bit there.
It was I didn't want to let it out sometimes. Because someone was like, yeah. But that's huge for us too. Yeah, so I was out right in Maine. I never really expected to go. She's never done. I just wanted to go. I went there, and that's where I mean,
Now, pausing at 14:46:34, did she just say that the place she had actually gone to meet the drug dealer was Arkwright Lane and not Flacco's Tacos, as she had said previously?
Flacco's Tacos.
That's correct.
All right.
And I know they said that they don't need us to have seen us or anything like that. But we're chasing. I was there, they just let it on me. I know that we were there probably about 100 times in a couple months. You know, like, so that they all know we're there. Yeah.
And that was the, let's talk to that. What trip was that?
That was the trip to 204. I was at 10 something. A little bit out there. Got there 10:40 something. I got home 10:40 something. And I was going for it.
Can you tell me about that? You know, how was that perk? You brought it back home and
they actually got home. Yeah, well, they, I was leaving. Yeah, you know, it's not. So, when you said somewhere, it's not like maybe doesn't take only take over 30. That's too much. It is a pain away, you'd be like, yeah, well, maybe that would be the reason why I was else to be on.
and you had to put that in conjunction with something.
Yes, that's what I'm like. Because I told her as soon as I got home, last time I was going to say it. By the time,
About what time did you do that?
by the time I got home, I took it like 11 something or whatever. I still have some stories right there. It took like, it wasn't bad. Like, it took like an hour or so for it to release. Which is why I got the order. By the time I got home back from the order, it was kicking. It was it. And I was a little stumble. Like, I was drunk. You know, because I was from the stairs. So one of the times when I went, I was really out. Really out there. And then, like I said before, when I started to check on all kids, and all of the skies now, the Django did a little camel Peter thing, I put that over here. Clean it here. So long way. I was still looking at his face. I was just like, please, you roll over and sleep. So I was like, hey, you guys just roll over and go smoke it. And outside, and I swim and came back inside before 2. And I was like, no, it would be fine. So that would be reasons why I didn't hear any of it. And you alarm and I sleep. It makes you sleep. And then once you get still and it hits, and it makes everybody good. You know, just makes it nice. It makes everybody good.
Okay, that noise in the background is driving me up the damn wall. Just that whatever is making that noise underlying this video's audio is just about got me on my last damn nerve. And Swamp Eric, I don't need to talk to that guy about prison life. That's why we got you here in chat. You're the one that sets it straight. And I did a little bit of just quick searching there. Leilani's in an interesting situation. As of June, she was in protective custody. Apparently, she's been in protective custody since she got there. I would assume she wouldn't have been there until there were threats or actions taken against her. But she's not in normal protective custody. Apparently, they have been holding her in the medical wing. So she's even more protected than the other people in protective custody. Yeah, she gave an interview to the New York Post where she was moaning about the difficulties of being in jail and how she's in the medical wing. She goes, come on. Simon also complained that she went to bed hungry every night. I don't know. She doesn't look like she's gone hungry to me. I'm just saying. She doesn't look to be all that hungry, if you know what I mean. Yeah. She said she told the New York Post that she doesn't have the same privileges as other women in protective custody, as she is being held in a medical wing. In the medical wing, we, myself, and the other high-profile PC females have very little to help pass by time. She accused the state of punishing me for the crimes I'm accused of having committed, claiming that she was put into a suicide cell, even though she had not expressed any desire to end her own life. They had me in the cell for 9 days and didn't let me out until my mom went on the news about it. And they took away her colored pencils. So yeah, she's being held in uber protective custody, I suppose. All right, let's continue.
We'll come back to the just things I want to touch on there. But the origin sort of tell me again exactly how that played out. What you did at origin.
First, I believe I just asked her to see if she takes her through hopefully we're gonna get that. We'll back. Oh, she's really right there. Yeah.
Well, just a couple things on that. I want you to just help me understand. Missy has no recollection at all. And she did not, and there's no communication. There's no communication between you or Missy on Missy's phone or your phone about you.
I don't know if they're coding context now. If you get to the phone numbers, it changes over a certain amount of time. The numbers are changing on the phone. Especially if you're not paying for it. So that'd be part of the reason that I take some for it and not having it off if it was already escalation. Because it gives you its own number, it doesn't use your phone number. Yeah. So it's like all there's like choosing your number and leaving it phone.
Choosing your number.
If you got to choose my text number or something, so the one time phone was one. That's the channel.
Prior to that, when was the last time she had any communication with
It's when I ran out of gas. I was on the road. And I walked down to the house and knocked on the door and I said, "That's my husband." Walked me. Oh, that's okay. Get gas. Oh, that's fine. And that was a stupid night. I was very angry about some cheating that happened about what was going on. I was over there maybe 2. But that's what I had to wait for. So it was
just tell me exactly how you went to the trailer park, how you went, where Missy's house is.
And we tried to go to Missy's house, it's not very, his house was on the right hand side. So I walked in and she walked up.
So you went to Missy's house, and you go inside her house? She just said,
Thought Strawberry wanted to play with her ball. Nope.
2 minutes just because of the conversation. And everyone else from out doing so. She does some correctly as well. She did while she was outside. So that was part of it. And then when I got in the car, whatever, We can just come up with how much actually I did on the trash. Stanley was state trash off a few days ago, and there's spoiled food all in my car. So I pull around and see my gas stop and I feel the trash. Yeah. There's toys, like shrimp pasta.
Shrimp pasta.
Yeah. The whole carton like shrimp. Yeah.
You bitch. You evil, evil, evil bitch. If I have to hear about that stinky pasta one more time. Ugh.
Shrimp pasta.
Yeah. The whole carton like shrimp. Yeah. Because I sat in there, so there's that smell. I felt that before, even when I go to a floor. You know, I go to the floor and I'm like, get out of the car. I'm looking through. And we use Glade trash bags. Okay, I'd say the Glade gray trash bags.
So did you stop anywhere else at all?
Went straight back home and that's when I throw my phone the wrong way. I lost all these clothes on. A little pounded was going to go. I put it at home. When, you know, outside, just check my kids outside, so just stay here. So I went to look for the weekend. I didn't know any other bed. Even the child thought it was weird that he didn't bring all the kids over there. Because like I said, I basically believe in machine. Got off of it. So whenever we work or not, we do it that way so we have a steady pay rate. And sometimes our pay might be, I have to pay a little bit more than that. Can't go for a couple of days, anything like that. We got issues like that. She's always paid. She's always paid. Sounds like you were. Honestly, I didn't know one little things and that he shook me before he left. I didn't even feel that. I didn't know that he needed to do that. And I was like, oh, that's surprised, honestly, that this guy and the kids have been putting on the damage. It's, I don't know how they act. I think I'm saying, well, that's me screwing and they don't know about something. Yeah, so. It was everything straight out to the T. What I did, and like I said, you can see, I'm sure that the way over there, and right now.
Well, let's look at this. Maybe some of this stuff will help you recall some more detail. So I'm going to slide over here and see something from the video. So this is a photo of you in your car. That's your car, right? That's your car. Going into the car. And where exactly is this in your car?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's when you first pull in, and this is triggered down here.
Yeah, I think it's my first one, and that's when I was coming out. It's not really so.
It goes right here.
Yeah.
And where is Nixon's house? Nixon's house. Right there. So just help me understand.
Can't hear a damn thing she's saying.
So this here, you have that with that idea. This is a photograph taken from the dumpsters looking back down that tree. And what you can't see in this picture is the camera that is right there that we not have. So that we have that camera right there. What is that camera going to show?
All right. Rather than making us continue to suffer through this, we'll break this up over 2 days here. Now's a good time to begin to wrap this up. Looks like we've got what 241, 2, 3, 20. There's about 30 more minutes of this. Oh, good. We got about 30 minutes of it out of the way. We'll get 30 minutes out of the way tomorrow. So we'll break this up right in the middle, which is kind of where we're at now. So, so we'll shut this down here for today. And before we go, there's a couple of things. Don't leave yet, people. There's a couple things we've got to talk about here. So hang tight while we talk about hello. Hello there, big yawny puppy dogs. Hello, guys. Hi, guys. What's up? Now, first, we've got Thanksgiving coming up. We've got Christmas coming up. We've got New Year's coming up. And I just want to make a super special mention for one of the sponsors that I've been lax on bringing up recently. Our good friend, the T-Man over at The Dragon's Treasure. Let's move this out of the way here so we can see what's going on. Let's move it even further out of the way. There we go. TheDragonsTreasure.com. Now's the time to get over there. We got lots of stuff coming up here, and let's just take a peek at what's going on here, shall we? Rather than me talking about it, we've got our amazing teas here. Come on. There we go. Let's make this big enough so that you can all see it. Go over to The Dragon's Treasure, and he's got nearly 100 different teas you can choose from. Hand blends them all. There's soaps and coffee and other products there, but the teas are amazing. I love the Dragon's Treasure tea. And if you don't think you're a tea lover, I challenge you to go through there, scroll through there, and find a tea you might possibly like the flavors of. It's a great tea shop here where tea and anime lovers can unite in cleverly named teas and whatnot. Now, orange creamsicle. This is actually one that I'm going to order as soon as this show's over here. Now, if you go to click on see the tea, you can see this is what your tea looks like. You can get it loose like this, or he'll bag it for you. So if you want to be tea bagged, you can order that as an option here. So you got loose leaf or pre-bagged, 20 grams, 50 grams, 100 grams, whatever you want. And he's got the ingredient list down here. It's honey bush flavored, rower. Description feels like you're back in the 1950s diner with his orange creamsicle inspired honey bush tea, hot or iced. Ingredients: vanilla, honey bush, orange peels, lemon peels, orange creamsicle flavoring. No caffeine. That's a good one if you're looking for something that doesn't have caffeine in it. And he gives you the instructions on how to make it, and gets your price per your 20 grams. So you're looking at 43 cents a cup. Yum. And you can rebrew it a couple times, so that drops your costs even further. And he's got these price listings for all of the different teas. But that's the one I'm really going to get into. I'm really going to try that and see how that looks. He's got pumpkin spice tea. The pumpkin spice tea I had a couple of years ago, really, really good. Candy apple is one of my favorites. Death God's apple tea. Don't be afraid. This tea has a kick. Let's see what. Come on, strawberry. What are you looking at? Ooh, that looks nice and spicy. Yummy. This has Rubios. It's a Rubios-based tea. Apple pieces, cinnamon, hazelnut, natural apple flavors, natural cinnamon flavors. No caffeine, but it sounds like it's got lots of cinnamon chunks in there. I love cinnamon. Mint and cinnamon are two of my favorite tea flavors. And then everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. This was actually my very first tea from the T-Man. Was this, and it does pack a punch. It's got a high caffeine count. It's great. It's the Lapsang Souchong tea, the Kimu tea, oolong tea. It's all Chinese tea based, and you can just go through here and cycle through whatever you want. There's like over 100. I know. I'm getting to it. Strawberry. There's over 100 teas, and it just keeps on going. And he's got the soaps. Shut up, dog, please. I'm in the middle of grifting. Soaps, and he's got some coffee over here. All handmade soaps and coffee. The Demons. Oh, he's got more than him. The DOT is my truck. Coffee is my favorite. Come here, Strubs. Get over here. I'll give you scratches. So yeah, the Dio's tea is great. I love the DO tea. Did I say tea? Coffee. The Dio coffee is great. I love it. It's my favorite. It's nice and good. Heart of the Volcano. Ooh, that sounds spooky and intense. But anyway, get on over there to the Dragon's Treasure and pick up some tea from him. He's been supplying me with tea for 2 years from the site. Now, here's how this works. Go on over there and check him out. And now for the holiday season, if you order over $125 worth of tea to give as gifts, to drink for yourself, to supply your neighborhood, whatever, orders over 125, including international orders, will have free shipping attached to them. And if you use code VICES, you get 10% off. So use code VICES, get 10% off. $125 or more gets you free shipping. And it's a win-win. You get a 10% off. He gets a sale. I get a 5% kickback, which I can use to purchase more tea. So make sure you get on over there and support The Dragon's Treasure at thedragonstreasure.com. I haven't been mentioning The Dragon's Treasure, but it's kind of strange. In the summer, I drink coffee, and in the winter, I tend to drink more tea. I don't know why. Just tea is more soothing in the winter to me than coffee. So check them out. Amazing teas, and I'm kind of a tea snob too. And I there's only been one tea that I wasn't really huge. It wasn't bad, but I just wasn't a huge fan of it. So in 2.5 years, there's only been one that I kind of went, eh. Other than that, they're fantastic. So thedragonstreasure.com, use code VICES, get 10% off and free shipping on orders over $125 or more. Hello, hello, Strop. Wake up. And so that was the one thing I wanted to get out of the way. The other thing, we have our like and subscribe poll here that we need to shut down. Let's see how we did. Just real quickly here, remember, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And if you have hit the subscribe button, double check, make sure you still are subscribed. And will we get to the 100 days? Will we get into triple digit goals achievement here? I'm sorry. I'm trying to talk and grift while scratching a feisty little bulldog. Let me scratch your butt there, Strawberry. Give me 5 minutes and then we'll go play, okay? She's not going to give me 5 minutes. She's going to give me like 30 seconds. But anyway, like and subscribe. Will we get to 100 consecutive days of hitting the emotional support potato pig dog cam? See, I told you. 43% of you say yes. 3% of you say no. 25% of you say sure, why not? And 29% of you said the power of Christ compels you. That's the end of the poll. Thank you so much for the votes. And I hope there's a couple subscribers that we picked up out of this. Come and join us here. We are the greatest chat on the internet. I am Legal Vices, the premier, the preeminent, the numero uno, the number one lawfluencer on the internet. Or at least that's my opinion. Join us. You're great. Chat is the greatest chat, hands down. Mods, thank you so much for being here and doing your moddy best. Thank you so much, chat, for the support, for getting us to day 62 of the Emotional Support Potato Pig Dog Cam through your generous super chats, Cash App donations, purchase memberships, gifted memberships, all that other stuff. And thank you for just being here. I'm going to go play with Strawberry, so she will shut up and stop begging me to play with her, huh? And we'll see you tomorrow. And remember, next Thursday, U.S. Thanksgiving, I will not be streaming. I will be doing something else. And I was supposed to be doing an F Friday stream this Friday, but I just can't. I haven't had time to prepare. I haven't had time to do anything or even think about it because work has been absolutely off the hook for the last 3 weeks. I'm thinking, this is just me thinking out loud. There's two things I'm thinking of doing. One, either doing kind of a minor one next week, the 30th, I think it is. Probably not. What I'm thinking is I know it's the end of the year. Christmas is coming up. It's a financial burden for everybody. So I'm thinking of skipping the F It Friday Griftathon for the last 2 months for November and December. We've never skipped it before, but I know it's kind of a particularly stressful year for a lot of people. So I don't want to do it like a hardcore grift in the run up to Christmas. So I'm thinking about perhaps skipping F It Friday for the November and December, or maybe I'll just do one in early December to cover November. And I don't know, but you guys are the priority, So I'm just keeping you guys in mind. I think that's about all we have to talk about on the way out the door. So I'm going to set you guys free to go over wherever you want. Find out where the internet sends you. And then tomorrow, hopefully I'll be putting up my review of episode 1 of Dune Prophecy, the history of the Bene Gesserits. It is now streaming its first season. I so want it to be good. I'm about 40 minutes into the first episode and it's iffy. It's beautiful. It's really well done. The story, well, you'll just have to wait to see how I feel about it, because I'm not sure how I feel about it yet. We'll have to watch the last 20 minutes or so and see. But tomorrow or Friday, I'll put my review up. Until then, everybody, take care. I'll see you tomorrow for day 6 of this trial, and we'll keep going. A few more days and we'll be done. Then it's catch-up time for all the stuff I've been ignoring for the past month and a half or 2 months. So... Right, peeps? Oh, just coming in right under the wire. We have what? What happened? Nope, nothing came in under the wire. That was weird. My thing scrolled and said we had new super chats, and we didn't. It lied. It lied. All right, never mind. All right, peeps, thanks. I'm out here. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Love y'all, and goodbye now. I said goodbye now. Hang up. You hang up first. No, you hang up first. All right, did he hang up? Nope, you hang up first. Bye, everybody.